Morning, everyone, and happy Friday. I am down tempo. Let's try down tempo. What will down tempo do for you? Okay. So Bob just wrote back. I sent my system or my issue off to the printer, and he was observing that some of these pages are way unbalanced, like way top heavy. And I'm trying to decide if I am worried about that or not. You know what I mean? So when we look at my pages, the thing about my pages are that they are designed to be manga pages, right? So these are designed to be ultimately the same perspective or same size as manga, which is shorter. They're not as tall. When I did issue 1, I centered these pages. In order to center these pages, we've got to flatten them. And that makes for a different problem, which is if we want to change anything for any reason down the road, we can't because they'll be flat at that point in time. So the ponderable here is, do I want to do that? Or conversely, do I want to use the bottom of these pages for something else? You know what I mean? Like the bottom of these pages could be for notes or information, additional data, page numbers. It's something to ponder. I'm trying to think of how did, like, let's say Ranma 1/2 single issues look, right? So they were centered, is what it looks like, right? Except that this looks like it's actually blown up. I'm just trying to figure out how they pulled it off to be single issue. The size is completely different. The aspect ratio is different. Right? I mean, looking at them here, the aspect ratio is completely different. Hmm. Uchu no tendo no dojo. Jusenkyo. And here we go. This is a good example of, like, this is Gold Digger is like this. And I'm wondering if maybe it's just as simple as putting a box underneath it to just indicate that this the space intentionally left blank. You know what I mean? Like, take something like this and just on the page itself, just go like this. You know, just to indicate that this panel is left intentionally blank. Maybe even make it mildly like a gray thing like that for each page. question is, would that be irritating or would that not? Where's Brent at this point? Where are my people who help advise me? Hello, Ideal City. Hello, Jay. Yes, I am working on my own comic. I just sent it to the printer today, and we're putting it together at this point in time, and the printer just wrote back and said all of your pages are offset. And they said, is that okay? And I was like, I don't know. And now I am sitting here pondering, so you can help me ponder if you would like, because that's what we're doing. We're pondering. So here's the thing. I'm a manga style artist, and my proportions are set for manga, which is shorter than US comic pages. But the end result right now, of course, as it goes to the printer, the end result is it US size. So this is the end result of the comic when it comes from the printer. And before, it's kind of hard to see, and before, when I did this, I centered the pages dead center. And thank you. And I centered the pages. And when I did, the problem with that is that I lose all of my formatting. So, like, I have to flatten the page to make it work. And I'm trying to decide if I should, what I should do with this. So at the moment, a blank page for this, without any things in there, without any layers, looks like this. So I have it set up. I'm thinking, well, yes and no. I'm trying to figure out whether I should or shouldn't, or just let it roll like it is. But I have this set up with these master pages, which are set to exactly the dimensions of a manga, right? And that's shorter than the US page. So this is the US size, is to this red line right here. And actually, it doesn't matter because I didn't trim it to the US size. I trimmed it to the Webtoon size, which I'd forgotten to do. I'm glad he caught it, because either way, I need to reformat this so that it fits. But the question I'm running into is, do I worry about it or not? Because really, I need to bring it down to here, which is 3000 by 4615. So we're going to go in. I use Clip Studio Paint, and this is version 2, which is their newest version. And the comic that we're doing here is called, yes, it's going to be self-published. The printer is Avanti Printers, and they're in South Denver, and they're really nice. They're really nice people. And the guy that I usually work with is, yay! I love Clip Studio, and it's worth it to get Clip Studio version 2. I went for the one-time pay upgrade for Clip Studio version 2. So that's a good thing. The text alone, being able to fix the text, has been so great. But well, we've got a 3000 by 4615. Let's do that. Let's go into story, and then let's see the project settings. Couldn't you run because the project's open? Yeah. Don't save. Oh, sure. Well, he's willing to print it just as it is. It's totally fine. He just wanted to make sure that was what I was after. Like, he's totally willing to let it print like this off center. He doesn't have a problem with that. He just wanted to make sure that was what I wanted to do, because they all look a little janky because they're off centered. But I also just now realized they're not trimmed properly, because they should be trimmed to 4626. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm trying to figure out whether I should cut it afterwards or cut it now, or I don't know. This is very ponderable. It's a ponderable. What's the format that I need? Let's turn that off and make sure I've got my 4615. I'll write this down, because if I don't write it down, I'll forget. So this became 3000 by 4615. And that puts, we love pondering. I love pondering to 169 millimeters by 260 millimeters is the final version of this. Blankets. Ken is here. He's just stuck in the blankets. The blankets has him. Alrighty. We'll close this. Do not save. And then let's go to the project settings. Okay. Let's make sure that I can do this without Bellatrix Rising is a futuristic comic. It's set about 500 years from now. It's a comic about what had happened was I was originally writing a Star Trek comic, and then my dad said that he reminded me that I can't make any money off of a Star Trek comic because it belongs to CBS, and he's not wrong. So I went on ahead and spent COVID redoing the ships and the uniforms, but the stories are the same and the characters are the same. So the comic is about a small serving Navy ship, in this case a Corvette, with a crew of about 45 people who travel around doing little things that in the universe they go around and just like little repairs and little stories, and then get caught up in a bigger story. So that's the whole plot of this whole thing, and we're on issue 1 of episode 1, and there are 22 episodes. Each episode has 3 issues, so it's ultimately going to be about 2100 pages. So I've got to figure out how to get this to square away properly. But in the end, I want to make perfect binding manga books, so the tankobons. So I want to do that. So I've got to kind of figure out this thing, because it's not the right size. It's not the right size. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm looking at this going, the size is wrong on the canvas. So Bob wrote back and said, it's offset. Is that okay? And I was like, you know what? Let me check it before I go. And now I'm looking at it, and I need it to be 169 millimeters by 260 millimeters. And I can already see on the project settings, we're set for 127 by 203. which isn't anywhere near the right size. I'm like, how did I mess this up? Which one's wrong? Which one of these is wrong? I'm actually thinking I might just go in and manually trim. Because now I'm concerned that it's not the right width and height. Yeah, I mean, manually trimming the bottom off wouldn't be a problem. It would just take a second, but the cover's full height. So we've got to decide if we're manually trimming the bottom off or not. Right? That'd be. It says 169 by 260, but I feel like that's not what this is. I'm concerned about our cover, whether the cover would. So one of the things that I learned a long time ago was to make a template which has all the information on it that you'll ever need while drawing a page. And that way you can read the template. The question really boils down to, is the template correct here or not? That's the real question. So I'm going to look at, I have reference materials over here all the time. Like, for example, here's a classic X-Men comic. So I'm going to take, and we're going to do this the old-fashioned way. I'm going to go get my ruler, and we're going to measure it. See what happens. Getting to my ruler is a little harder than it looks. All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to switch back to the main mode. I've got a ruler, and I've got this X-Men comic right here. And we're going to measure one more time using this T-square. Because this is a Marvel print. 25, 255, 56, 57. 257 is the height. That's not the same. Although it does say 260. So one could argue good morning, Brent. Printer has written back and said, you know that this thing is off center, right? And I went, yeah. And then I was like, do I want to fix that? And so now we're doing that. 255, 56, 57, 58. So technically it's 258. That's not very far off from what it says there and reads there. So I'm going to say, let's see how close we are to this. 2 millimeters is not enough to really warrant a big problem or concern. And our width is 160. 165, 6, 7, 8, 168. Okay, so it reads 168 and 169. It's close enough. Okay. Internally in an X-Men comic, just looking at the insides, the pages are full bleed. So that means they go all the way down to the bottom of these pages down here, and they go to either side right out here. That's a full bleed. But the internals are we talk about these internal frames, and they are, this is the reason I keep these things around, is looking at this. Oh wow, 155 straight. So the internal should be 155. All right. This is probably not the world's best to check this. And all right, 245, 46, 247. 247 high. Alrighty. So the internal safe is 247. Just lay there. Put you down here. 247. So 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters off is an internal error, and that's not a big deal. Okay. So back to the problem at hand. These don't read improperly. 169 by 260 is not that far off from 168 by 258. 2 millimeters isn't going to kill anything. So that's fine. My distance is okay. The question is, how do I get rid of this bottom 6, 7.5? Trim. Right? I mean, like. Okay, so, Brent, as well, you can also pipe in here. Bob just wrote back and said everything was off center, which makes sense. Not that worried about that necessarily. The question is, do I want to go with off center? Do I care? Or do I want to, like, so the page is off center, which is true, but we didn't do off center for issue 1. So we need to figure this out as to whether I want to go this way or not. This is the question we're working on today, this morning. What I could do. First, let's just talk about this and do this thing. All right. So forgive me, guys, but because there's nudity on the first few pages, I have to do the mosaic, which is kind of a bummer. But, oh wait, where's me? No, that's not it. You're not working. Why are you not working like you're supposed to? Read my source. Hang on real quick. I'm fixing the sources. I'm not sure whether you can hear me or not even on the... Yeah, you can hear me. Fixing my sources. Display capture. This is hard to see. I can't see anything. Oh, man. Okay. Now I just brought it to another. There we go. There's me. I can put me in the corner. Me in the corner. I could probably put myself in this corner and probably be better off, because then it doesn't really matter. All right, there we go. Now I'm in the corner. Now I'm baby. I've been put in the corner. All right. So we got to go through each page and just trim the bottom part off. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to go up to the cover. Do not save. I'm going to go to the cover. Turn that off, which will allow me to see the bottom part here. And then we can readjust the cover appropriately. No. Why is it doing it like that? Don't do that. Reference point top. Not center. Oh, God. Making a mess of everything. Oh no, we did it wrong. Already. We're right off the bat doing this wrong. Okay. Change canvas side. Turn that off. Yes. Up. And set it for US size. And that cut a lot of the bottom off of this. And when I release this, will save duplicate and save. Let's not do that. Do not save. Let's do this. Save duplicate. Let's save as. So the offset's already here. I'll turn it back to my normal thing here for real quickly right here. The offset's already printed on the bottom of my page, is right here. And now that I've saved a different copy of this, so this is a different copy of the, or at least I hope this is a different copy of this. We're gonna try to do a different thing now. We're gonna go into change project settings. Change project settings seems like a thing, right? So if we say that you are width 168 by 258, like that, what does it do? So if you're wondering what my thought process is here, I'm thinking this through and trying to figure out whether so what I'm trying to do here is trying to think, what I'm looking at here is that changing it to 168 by 258 makes it correct sized, but it's going to make all the artwork teeny in the center. And so I don't want to do that. So my thought is, and by the way, can remind me to change my master files. This is obnoxious. I originally designed them to be triple usage so that they could also work with Webtoons. And that's what the extra tail on the bottom is the Webtoons thing. But you know what? I'm not going to go to Webtoons. I'm going to stay on Global Comics. I liked Global Comics a whole lot better anyway. So it just needs to be manga sized and US print sized, and that's it. It doesn't need that third Webtoons extension. So it can be 168 by 258, and then we can figure out what the internal proportion is correct to it. But for this issue, not wanting to have to redraw the entire thing, we need to figure out what its ratio is so that I don't have to redraw the entire comic, which is where we are now. And now we're at math. And I hate math. Mostly because I'm not good at it. So, it needs to be 168 by 258. It isn't 168 by 258 at the moment. It is 115 by 190. Let's see if Bob wrote back and said, okay. Okay, he says, I've still got time. Good. I've got time to make this fix. All right. Checking my manga. We'll do the same thing with the manga. Here we have for... It's all good. You can mute me. Why would you mute me? I mean, why would... Anyway, this is the manga Macross. It's one of my favorite mangas. It's by one of my favorite artists that have ever artisted, and that's Haruhiko Mikimoto. We're going to check first what is the size of one of these pages, right? Which is 180. is the height. Right? And his internal section is harder to get with a T-square. Internally, it's about 170. Is it 170? Or is it 160? It's 160. 160. So we're at 160 by the internal trim needs to be 160 or 158 is what it seems to say right here, which is fine. I'll take 158 by 105. So this is the internal trim. All of this then is with the extra 5 millimeters in the outside. The ultimate goal is that we need to be 258 by 168 in the end and decide how we're going to make this work. I hate math. All of this is hurting my brain. Okay. This is Kadokawa Shoten. And it doesn't help anyway, by the way, guys, that all of these are always different depending on the size of. So 180, or depending on the manufacturer, 180 by, let's say, 120. 180 by 120 is the final ultimate size. So manga 180 by 120. And then we've got the inside correct, but the outside's off. All right. Haruhiko Mikimoto is my sensei, and not my sensei literally, but the person whom I follow, the person who's I'm trying desperately to figure out how this works. So we are at 180 by 120 is what our final version should be. Okay, I know how I'm going to work this. Here's what we're going to do. Welcome back. Welcome back to the stage of history. The height is 258, right? 180. So the height, the difference is 78 by 68 by 48. So if I subtract 48 from both sides, I should get something that's proportionately small. or at least correct size, so that if he just blows it up to the actual print size, it'll be okay. Because I overrun by a lot, because he only needs 300 DPI and I'm running 600 DPI all the time. So it should take scaling okay, especially if it's a 2% scale. So we're going to take 48 off of each side. We're going to end up with 258 minus 48 equals 210. 210 by 168 minus 48, 120, right? That makes sense. 120 as our final version, scaled down slightly. So height should be 210 and width should be 120. We're off. Why are we off? Because the 5 millimeters on either side are not included. So I'll add 10 back in to either side, giving us this layout. Okay? Let's see what kind of damage that does. To rescaling. All pages are rescaling. It didn't solve our first problem, but it solved our second problem. Let's make sure the whole project is that way. All right, like this page. Yeah, it reads different. Okay. And see, it says 127 by 203. So you're still reading the wrong way. So let's go back into project settings. 130 by 220, which is what it should read. It should look like that. Right, for the canvas size. Why is it not populating all the way out? I swear this is so complicated and unnecessarily so. This is where my page settings need to be different. $120 by full frequency. Did it just jump out of its settings? It shouldn't have jumped out of its settings. Yes, it should have. Just a little bit, though. Right, because it's got an offset, which shouldn't be there anymore. And let's see what happens. Set trim margin smaller than paper size, minus bleed width. Okay, so you need to be with 180. Everything is off. Why is everything off? My internal safe is correct. Why is my trim size off? Because this needs to be 120. This is not the sexy part of making comic books, guys. I'm so sorry. This is the non-sexy part of making comic books. Okay, so my width now is 210. My width is not 1. Yeah, 130 should be fine. And weight 80, 190, because that gives us the correct bleed to have chop, and that should be fine. Let's see if that fixes everything. Just one page. It fixes just one page. Really? Why is this so hard? Why is this so hard? Issues all over the place. I'm having some serious issues, guys. We are quacking up. There could be stream issues. No. least that makes it easy. I mean, the rest of it's going to be a pain in the butt, but that's going to be easy. So let's look at our page manager. And let's just write these numbers down. I think really all that's important right now is just to get the canvas size to be correct. The artwork is done. I don't need any more saves. So as long as we are correct on the canvas size, it should be fine. And our canvas size should shrink proportionately so that it is correct on this one. And so we're going to go from US size, which is 258 by 168 in millimeters. Manga size is 180 by 120. The difference is 78 millimeters by 48 millimeters. So I'm going to take 48 millimeters, which is the smaller of the two, and subtract from both sides. And that'll give me a shrunk down version, so to speak. That's the right aspect ratio. And that'll give me 210 by 120. Looking over here, what I've got is 130 by 190, which is not 210 by, right? So what really this should be is, because it's giving a 5 millimeter bleed on either side. I don't need the 5 millimeter bleed. So we're going to go on ahead and just say 120, and then we'll go exactly the way that it should be, 210, right? That should be the correct aspect ratio. Set the trim margin smaller than the paper size minus the bleed width. Right, so this has to be 110. That's fine. Right. And that'll set my aspect ratio. Hi, Sarge. That sets my aspect ratio correct. And that actually looks like it's right. So, okay, we've set that. So we're just going to have to go through each page and do that. Bye, Sarge. So we'll go in here and we'll do the same thing. We got to do this to every page because hatred. There's a hatred for me here. Page settings. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to say width is 120 and by 210, right? And that's going to be our set. He has to be then set down. It's time to hydrate. Actually, I'm coffee drating, which is probably hydrating. So all I need to do is set U for 110, and it doesn't matter. There we go. Should be good in theory. Change page settings. Not enjoying this at all. 120 by 210. We set U for 0, and that goes for that. And that just changes its aspect ratio just a little bit. Maybe. How do we work macros? Anybody know how to do a macro? Set to record, set to play action. Let's add a new one. Can I add a new one? You can't add a macro. By the time I figure out a macro, so I'll take this page, do the same thing. Actually, it is the command B though, right? No, that's not. It's capital B? Is it capital B? No. Control B? Alt B? No, none of the above. All of those just set a brush. So what's the point of having it in here? Because it says change page settings B. B. Nice. This is irritating. So you may be asking yourselves, why is this happening when I have worked so hard to not have it do this? And the answer is that this was the first manga I made for this comic, and it's not set up correctly. And because it was the first one made. It was made before I had decided what everything was going to be like. So it has different aspect ratios, things like that. It was just built before I had settled in on stuff. But also, I think I'm going to work a little bit on this in a minute and try to get the new comics to be correctly set up so that they're set up proportionately, assuming we're going to print larger pages first. Because I think my first initial thought on this was that I was going to end up doing no, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I think the initial thought was that I was going to make manga tankobon. And now that I'm doing this, and I was going to then put it out on Webtoons. Well, the truth of the matter is, if I do put it out ever on Webtoons, I'm going to re-edit it anyway. So that's not a problem. It's not as big of a deal as I thought it would be. You know, like I might as well just go on ahead and assume that they will all be printed and set this up to be for print, to go to a printer like Bob, and then worry about paging it for a manga later Not necessarily saying that I'm going to still do it. I'm going to still do it proportionately correct for manga, but I'm going to scale it for US size. And what we'll do is we'll set up a safe so that I can continue to bleed artwork past the safe for the US size. And then that way I don't have to worry about it. Because, like, for example, page 14 is set up such that it's actually not that hard to bleed all the way across. It's no big deal. But this is risky. Like, if it wasn't for the fact that Bob had called this, he might have printed this out of it would have been out of ratio, and it would have been slightly squished, and everybody would have been slightly squished, and all the pictures would have been out of ratio, and that would have been weird. He'd have to have decided whether to run it out of ratio or not. You know what I mean? Like, and the best part is we gave time. We're totally ahead. We're totally on time. All is good. I don't need to worry about this. You know what I mean? Like, we're way up on time. We're way early. For me, anyway. We're right on deadline, which I have never done before. I'm usually about 5 days behind deadline. So this is actually just fine. We're doing just fine. And I'm going to use and exploit the new align functions of this and align everything centered, because I can center the page now. Right? So this should be, it'll be just easy. I mean, it's going to be kind of hard to come back in and work on this comic again if we need to, but not impossible. And really, this isn't that big of a deal. We'll be done by the end of the show. Did you not do your job? Why do you look different than the other page? Why do you look different? You shouldn't be different. 120. That's why you should be one. There you go. One page is out. Weird. Here we go. And the answer to your question is, I probably can set up a macro. I just don't know how to set up macros. We need to figure out how to set up macros. There's so much about this program that we don't use because we're always like scrambling to get a comic clear. We've got a little bit of time between now and Wicked West where all of our comics are going to be sent to the printer and we're waiting for them to print and we're waiting for things to clear. And you know what I mean? Like, and while we're doing that, while we're doing that, let's figure out some of these things. There's got to be a way to automate some of this stuff. right? Like we need to run the automation file or whatever. There's so much usability in this program, and we don't use half of it. All right, last page for this. And then we're going to do the other thing.
Move the thing! No, the other thing!
All right, I'm going to change the page settings twice and not hit the enter key while trying to talk like Fazzini. Then I can just hit that and that and poof. Right? You can always hope, my friend. You can always hope. That. There we go. Okay. Save. And we'll just address the problem the straightforward sort of way here. What is your... Weird. Don't be weird. Don't be weird. Don't make this weird. There we go. So all I'm doing now is firing off I'm putting everybody in a folder so I can still get to each one of these individually. I'm just putting it in a folder and then I'm centering the folder using the align command. So they'll be aligned to the center of the page. All right, so that's all I'm doing here is just putting these guys in there. And then I take this and align and align. And that should put it dead center in the page. And there, we fixed that problem. Take this, align, align. There we go. I've got to admit, the alignment tools, so useful in Clip. This would have taken me hours before. In fact, as I recall, it did take me hours to fix this problem for issue 1. align. There we go. Page is aligned. All of those frames are interestingly outside of my safe. I don't know why that is. There, inside safe. And I cannot lie. I like big pictures and I cannot lie. All right, we've saved that one. Yeah, see, these are all inside safe. I don't get that. I don't get what's going on here. This one's going to be weird. Whoa, 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 whoa. All text is within safe, but don't know if I like where this guy. So this page was flattened before I did this work. It's fine now. We should be okay with it. And so we learned a lot about how to do comics while doing these in Clip. And I mean, aside from the yelling that we got for doing these things off center before, or not doing these in vector, which was an issue. I think these are already set up. Yes, excellent. Aside from getting yelled at for not putting these in vector like they're supposed to. Don't do that. You did it. This should be better now. Here we go. What's that? That way. Yes. No. Yes. No. Yes. I love Italian, and so do you. Blech. This should be fine as it stands. just in case, we'll go ahead and put all this stuff in. Yeah, that's what I thought. Its alignment was up, not down. It's fine by me. Yeah, other than the vector thing, which is legit, I have learned all kinds of interesting things about how to do these things. I think this is fine as it is and doesn't need to go anywhere. There we go. Oh. Yeah, alignment. Boy, alignment's so useful. All right, guys. You know how this goes. We've got to go into nudity part. So I'm going to... Not wanting to get dinged for it. No, what? So did it not save? Oh no, there I am. Hi, I'm here. Hi, I'm right here. Here I am. Okay. Not wanting to get dinged for it, let's go on ahead and just real quickly do these setups. For those of you who are not familiar with the comics here, we need to do all this stuff for the first half of this comic, which has nudity in it. And that freaks out everybody. So, you know, we've got to do this and go, oh no. You get to see them because they all exist in your world. Okay, that's centered. Save. And then we'll center that. Work. You've seen it before. You're like, I've seen it all now. I do like that I can set the whole folder to be aligned properly. I really like that. That's cool. I think, by the way, Ken, I think we got rated. But again, Restream doesn't alert us when we're rated. So if you were part of a raid, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We don't know because Restream won't tell us we're being rated. So we don't get the clever little information piece that tells us that we're getting rated. And then we will set up after this is done, and we just back off to Bob. We'll reprint. Oh, that's going to cause us a problem. You're like, what's going to cause a problem? We have so I was afraid of. There's pages in here that are big and don't need to be. Oh, how'd you get into the folder? How'd you two get? No. It's not centering because this one's got weird framing going on for it. I don't know what the problem is here. We'll just have to manually set this. There we go. There. That's probably the best way to do that one. And we've learned our lesson. And we've learned our lesson to sneeze. Page 8. Yeah, these are way weird. Oh, man. All of a sudden I'm sneezing in pairs. I don't know why I sneeze in pairs. You'd think that they get annoyed by being sneezed in. Ha ha ha. Don't sneeze in pears. Sneeze in apples. Set. Easy. Hone! Good to see you. Good buddy. In a minute here, I'll show you what we've got going, but can't just yet because, of course, there's nudity, and you know how it goes. Every time there's nudity, that freaks out YouTube and everybody, and save the kids, and anyway. I'm bitter and angry about this. I shouldn't have to go through this much trouble. But I do. So we were just about to send this off to the printer. Today, my comic is ready to go to the printer. And then the printer wrote back and said, everything's kind of set. You sure you want to do that? And I went, you know what? I'll think about it. And then I brought it back in here and then realized it was the wrong proportions and everything was all screwed up and, all kinds of fun stuff. So we've been fixing that today. That's been today's job. So we were ready to go to print It was actually at the printer. And then this all happened. So now we're back from trying to get to the printer and we're resetting the pages. We're down to page 5 for the reset. And that should be fine. And then we'll be done. You can lurk then. We'll see you in a minute. Go make ramen and don't kill anybody. That one was easy. Well, that's easy. All right. And we are here. Which should be clear and have no issues. And then we're here, which has some issues. There we go. I'll take you and go like this, centered, and I can now take and go back to my normal monitor. Zonk, because now we are clear. All right. Now that's been centered properly. And actually, I think I'm going to take this background piece and move it out to here, move it to there. So it's still on the background, but then I can center this guy a little bit better, like that. Because that's probably what needs to happen, is it needs to be centered more like that. No more boobies. No more Chang boobies. I hate this, but we're going to see so much of Chang's boobies at some point because she's the main character. Invariably, that's where we're going to end up. I'm going to move this down. Because I actually think I want it centered like that. Make sure you're centered correctly. You're not. That. Always should make these things look straight up and clear. There we go. Individually get them all squared away. And then take this entire thing and up it so that it's level that way. And it all looks good. Perfect. All right. Oh my God. Zombie, oh my God. We fixed that all the way up and straightened it out. And we shouldn't do this problem, but we have this problem. We always have this problem. All right. This is the back. Right now, that's centered properly and not centered properly to that. And in fact, what we probably should do is this. Go so, and then say set to selection and then center it that way. Look at that. All centered to the, no, I don't think so, because it's not centered to the center of the back. It's centered to the, there. Outline. Right, that's correct. All right, now let's go to the front. I'll have to fix the front now. I have to figure out what's on the front and where is the front. Okay, so you really should be here. Why are you not? You should be. First of all, what if we center you this way? Where does that put you? Ish. Because those are the safes on either side, yeah? Yeah. So if we center these per the safes, they should be there, which makes some sense and is better. I like that better anyway. All right, and all of you should be centered that way. That way? And then we'll move this guy back into the corner. It's supposed to be this guy back over here. He's supposed to be over there. We'll take this guy right here. We'll run them all the way across. And we take the side stories statement, which says side stories on the side there. Once we find it, side stories from the Unity. And we do the same thing. We align it so that it's aligned internally like that. Right. I never really thought of it. Now I'm thinking of it. Thank you, Brent. Save $12 on a rack of lockers, though. I'm just saying, Ken, you need lockers. You just don't deny it. You're just denying it. You're denying yourself lockers, Ken. Think about it. Think about it. So you're saying that if, like, Ensign Cayman were to... I think what would happen is, I think it would be a humorous joke for Ensign Cayman to get into, like, the pools with his uniform on, because the uniform wouldn't get wet. So he'd have a mode that would be different, like, would be that way. I think that's what would happen. Is you'd end up with that would be the that's what I think would occur. So in other words, Ensign Cayman would have to have a naked mode for him so that he could get into the hot springs without looking weird. Because I think he'd look really strange if he didn't. Right? So... Yeah, would he look like a Ken doll? Would he though? These are the things that I'm kind of thinking about. If you're not hung up on nudity, and that's not a thing that's a problem, why wouldn't you? You model ears, right? You've modeled the character's ears. You've modeled his nose. You've modeled his eyebrows. You've modeled, it's what I was thinking about with Odo. Like you think about that from Odo in that way. Really? Right. I mean, like Odo obviously would have been anatomically correct. There. Now I've set that up correctly. Oh, they have left our dog outside again. Did I set that up correctly though? Now that I've aligned everything, did you set that up? Did you? You didn't. You totally didn't. 0, 0, 210. Dang it. Now we're gonna have to go back through and redo everything. Yeah. I mean, I was just, you think about that from a different point of view. Like, because I don't think that changed anything really. Think about it from a different point of view. If you are modeling, do this. See, let's not do that ever again. Let's do this. Right. Let's do that. I cannot see it there. If you are modeling a human being, you would likely model the whole thing. Us artists do, right? I mean, we do that all the time. That should look a lot better. There we go. And then I'll just make sure that the back is aligned somewhat to the center of this. Yeah, I didn't change anything. Cool. All right. Save. Now export multiple pages as a PDF. Lightrix Rising all. We're going to go into the for printing. All of it, only the text, roll. A for US size print. Go. Now we should be rolling a new one. Okay. You know what, guy? Don't put people's personal information up there. That's bad. Okay. Sending a... It turned out that it wasn't formatted properly anyway, so I had to redo the formatting. I have it now, and a new version is available here. Hold on. And then I'll give him the new one in a second. See what it does. And I'm going to stand up while I wait for this to export. Exporting was complete. As always, we double check. Why is it red on either side? Or for that matter, white on either side. I'm not sure I'm liking where it went on this one. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. Spot checking, though, I don't like why I've got these white trim pieces on either side. So we're going to go back in. We're going to do all, delete, and then just refill. And that should fill the entire thing. And I will actually delete you. And then we'll resend. Yeah, I'm uploading to the printer. But first, I'm not happy about the white trim to either side. But you know what? Some of this is not, there's nothing we can do about it. Right? I mean, there's nothing we can do. So we're going to go on ahead and just roll it as it is. But I do want at least the cover to be red all the way to the edge. Exporting was completed, and that was that. Did you just do the only? Yeah, you did just that, didn't you? Save. Try this again. There we go. It should be doing the whole thing. Okay, happy with you for being a jerk about this because, I mean, let me see. You've clearly, yeah, just page one. Just page one. No, and it's still doing the thing. All. Don't be a jerk. Just do the whole thing. There we go. Now we're exporting. That's what I should be seeing is the little ticket, because it's compressing those pages down. I'm going to, while it's uploading, I'm going to take this downstairs and get coffee. I'll be right back. All right. Now you are in charge. Exporting was complete. Now we, of course, spot check. I'm not sure why I'm getting these white lines on either side. That's way off the safe and shouldn't be in it at all. But all of that looks, I mean, other than that, being off the safe to the right and to the left, all looks good. Other spot checks. There we go. But does it? Guys, does this not look right? It looks really tall. I mean, I'm looking at this and looking at that. It still looks really freaking tall. Like, the proportions are off. What is going on? It looks like it exported it super tall. I'm sending to Bob. We're trying to figure out what the problem is here. Because like this is kind of troublesome here. Maybe. It says 128 by 200. But even that looks weird. Okay. Here's our comic settings. Let's see if we've got this squared away. Because this is something I'm kind of wondering about. And I'll just stay on stream until I figure it out. Okay. 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 What if I want to set my own templates? Like you. I swear. Clip Studio Paint just sometimes does things you're like, wow. So we're going to make this 130 by 220. And then we'll make the trim 120 by 210. Why would you do that? Okay. I'll bleed with 5. Now the inner border we'll set to manga size plus some. Right? Our manga size inner border should be at manga dimensions for internals, which is 105, except that we want it bigger for the one. The difference is 48. So we take 105 plus 48. And why, I'm not sure why we... So our width should be 153, right? Which is now wider than the width of the paper. Oh, because we're doing this wrong. Because we're doing this wrong. Let's do this. It's always going to be 250. No. 250, 168. The 5-inch bleed. Okay. And this becomes 153 to the width. Good. Yards. Definitely yards. It's always going to be in yards. So we're in millimeters. Everything's in millimeters. Because A, millimeters are more useful, and B, it's more accurate too. The width is 105, and the height is... Hang on quick. Hey, Joe. I'm meeting with a buddy of mine tonight for lunch or dinner. I mean, I guess it's lunch somewhere. So now it's 105 by 158. I'm scaling everything up by 48 millimeters, which makes this 153 by 206. Why are we scaling it up? Because that way the pages look, they're proportionate for this. And I'm not going to do an offset anymore. I'm just going to center them straight in. Okay. Now we're going to save this preset. Right. Story name. Right. Yeah. Start number 1, paper color white, set for all of these things. Do we want to use a template? Can we use a template? Can I use my templates? Because I have my own templates, which I've set up. Right. Like you. But you can't bring it in. Okay. Templates are stupid. Okay. Inner border is 153 by 206. No offsets. That should be like that. That should be like that. Good. So we'll set this up then as 2023, and we'll actually say April. Manga US hybrid. And that way it should create pages that are aligned properly, hopefully. Number of pages. There we go. So if we do this, this should give us 36 pages, which is 4 cover pages and 32 internals. Let's take a look and see what it says. And see how it shows up. And then I'll take what we already have and move it in here and see what it looks like. Aw, thanks, Gruda. I wanted this. Like that. There we go. But I feel like this should be correct. Yeah? I mean, like, this should print correctly on things and should be correct and stuff. I hope so, anyway. All right. We'll go out here and take a look at this. And first thing we're going to do is go into Completes, Act 1, Momentary Ghosts, new folder. Right? Select that folder. And set it up so it saves it out. And we can temporarily use this to make sure that it's our old one is correct. Because see, this doesn't look the same in aspect ratio as this. And that's the problem. I feel like our aspect ratio is wrong on all of these pages. And I'm like, it's not working like I wanted to. And I don't think I am that interested in, I mean, the artwork's not going to change. The van life. You know what you can do with her though is she can get an ambulance. I actually saw somebody making an ambulance into a nice home. Like an old ambulance, get an old ambulance. You can even put a little shower in there. And it's that bigger back. It's just a little easier to get a little bit more room. Because this looks like the correct ratio and aspect ratio for a page. What I don't understand is it does look like it's got extra bleed on either side, but not above and below, which is strange. You can see the page settings here. 182, 268 should be our numbers here. I feel like I'm now very confused again. Canvas shouldn't be that. Again, it has picked different numbers. Okay, 168 by 258 plus 5 on each side. There. But I'm not seeing that bleed. No, I'm seeing that bleed. The inner border is 153 by 206. Why is it just white on the other side? So the question is, are you going to get a flat nose schoolie or a normal nose schoolie? Actually kind of want to take, yep, I think those are good too. I actually have been thinking about like a flat nose. You take one of the old flat noses, pull the engine out of the front completely, and then put in an electric motor, like a large electric motor, and just put it in that front area. It'd be much lower. And then you could line the entire undercarriage of the vehicle with battery packs all the way to the back. And then you'd get all that torque and that power from the electric, and you'd get a flat deck all the way to the forward part of the bus. Like that would be seriously kick butt. I'm just saying. So this looks like the correct aspect ratio. Just sticking this comic on here, this looks like the correct aspect ratio. Maybe what just needs to happen is I just need to go to this guy here. I mean, you can see I don't know, maybe it is the right aspect ratio. No, it's not. And therein lies the rub. There you go. I like it. So it's off, and I'm not sure why. Why is this one off? Yar, that sounds like a fun thing. Okay, let's just do this. We know we like these page settings. I'll save these page settings. We'll go over here. And we'll say change project settings. And that's part of our problem right here. Canvas should be our comic size should be trim size 68. No, minus 48 is what we're going to do. And this is why none of this ever works. Oh my God. 168 minus 48 equals 120. So this is 120. And I'll bet you. No, this needs to be. $142. Right? This is why I hate things like this. Why I hate math, why I hate all of it. I hate all of this. Because that then didn't come out right. Our width should be 169. No. 206. No, it should be 206, and the width should be 153 with a 5-inch bleed. That doesn't fit. And then this is going to be straight up. Right. So this should be width 182, height 268. Trim should be 168, 258. Then the inner border will be 153, 206 with no offset. Okay. Let's see what kind of trouble that causes. Question is it doing it? Looks like the first 4 pages went to the correct proportions. And that's where it seems to have stopped. It's still not bad. Hello, River. Welcome to Math I Hate It. Thanks, I hate it, Clip Studio Paint. Which is where we are right now on this. We are trying to send my comic to the printer. Yeah, Math with Guy, which is never good, but complicating it with this is even worse. So, okay, we've done that. Did you do the page settings correctly though, or did you not? 182, 128, that didn't help me any. See, none of these are where we're supposed to. Oh my gosh. Not so bad. I mean, like, legitimately, not so bad. I mean, other than Math with Guy, which is becoming interesting and uncomfortable. You know what? Let's just do this. 182, 268. What does that do to that page? A lot. You were thinking about traveling. Where were you going? I love traveling. I spent 3 years in Japan, and it was one of the best things I had ever done in my life. So now looking at this page, it's gone over by a lot on that sort of thing. But if I do this and this, I make a folder and I put all of this stuff in the folder. Like so. I can take this. I wish I wasn't doing that though. To Russia. What part of Russia? I'm actually partial to Kazakhstan, because that's where Star City is. And I wouldn't mind seeing a Soyuz live and in person. Moscow and St. Petersburg. That's kind of cool. You speak Russian. Like, kind of an important piece. Not critical, but kind of important. Right? So I noticed that there is a train that goes from Moscow down through Baikonur and then out to China and then across China. And I mean, like, the old Orient Express still goes out that way too. So you could theoretically get on the train in Moscow and get off the train in like Beijing. I think it's Beijing. Yeah. So you could probably, well, that's fair. And since you're already in Mongolia, you're much closer. A lot of your travel is cut because, like, I would have to travel across the ocean and I'd have to go so far. But yeah. Can you get on the Orient Express? That's the question. I think that's south, a lot south from where you are. I love trains and I love planes and I love all kinds of stuff. And it's like one of those bucket list things for me that I want to kind of travel on the Orient Express someday, because it's a famous train. Everybody knows the train and it's famous. And so, you know, kind of check it off my list of vehicles that I have gone in my life, because I love traveling in vehicles and I love going in different places with different planes. Everything except for the Tupolevs. I'm staying away from Tupolevs. China is weird. But you know what? If you're a tourist in China, they generally leave you alone. Like, it's, you know, the politics are all politics, but if you're a tourist, most people just leave you alone. I mean, not like it's a given, but like, you know what I mean? Like, So you're already in Kazakhstan. Well, no, you're not, because you're out in Mongolia. I want to go to Kazakhstan, because Baikonur. I always want to go to Baikonur. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Right. That does, never mind. That does kind of change where you mess with China. They're sort of doing genocide and stuff. So yeah. Let's be careful. Don't go there. I like you. I want you to stay with us. So yeah, you don't want to get into any of those genocide things there. That's fair too. It's probably safer. You're probably right to stay away from China then. People need to stop doing that crap. That doesn't help anybody. That's not helping anybody. Right. Yeah, the way that they are, the way that China's handling their ethnic groups is not cool. That's fair. Go west. Go west. Don't go south. That's a bummer because it'd be fun to travel on the Orient Express. But maybe that's just my dream. You don't have to follow my dream. Orient Express is cool. And it's so weird too. Like, why do people get caught up in ethnicities and things like that? We're all just people. People are people. Even countries, like different countries. The governments fight, but the people are just people. We're just trying to get through the day, you know? Every day, we're just trying to get through the day. Make it through the day. All right. I noticed that we were at a different aspect ratio, and I need to figure this out. Because I think the difference is 48 millimeters. Even Russia is weird about it, yeah. So everybody's weird. Like even over here, we can have like weird problems with anybody with a Muslim name or even like adjacent to Muslims. Like we had especially right after really big horrible things that happened. We had like people who were Indian, like from India, getting caught up in that. And it's like they're not even the same. That's not even the same group. People, I don't know. Fear does stupid things to us. Yeah. Now, oh, hey. Now it's cat butt time. You're going to get George's butt. And that's the way this goes. George's butt. George's butt. George's butt. George's butt. George's butt. The Attack of George. He's like, I want scritches now. Now scritches. Now scritches. Scritches now. Yeah. It's difficult. It's very difficult. The world is a complicated and difficult place. Not for you because you're a cat. The world is pretty simple and straightforward for you because you're just a cat. You just want scritches. That's all you need. And you're a happy cat. Okay, we're going to take these numbers and we're going to subtract 48 and see what happens from everything. What do you think? The wind has picked up. And so now it's gotten windy. And now George is doing the whoa. So we'll have to see what happens here. Okay, I'm going to take a new card. This card's blank and doesn't have anything in it. A new card, and I'm going to say 182 268 168 258 then 153 206. We're going to just take these numbers straight as they are. 182 minus 48. Clear. 268 minus 48. Clear. 168 minus 48. I'm not trusting my memory. I'm just going to do this exactly like it. $153 minus 48. 206 minus 48. Okay. Trust none of those numbers. Europeans. Do you mean, because if you, I don't know, I feel like, and maybe this is just because I live in the US, Asian ethnicities, like looking Asian, like Mongolian or Chinese ethnicity, Japanese ethnicity, Korean ethnicity, they seem to have a different sort of prejudice, like not always a super negative prejudice, but that's just US. So it might be different in Europe. I'm not sure. Okay, let's try this. These numbers straight, right? So 134 220. And then you are 120 210. Okay. Then you are 105 and 158. I don't know. There, that's not bad. Yeah, it's kind of different in Eastern European, in the Eastern Europe area. Western Europe, like if you're talking about the UK or like Belgium or Spain or France, I think they have sort of the same kind of ethnic prejudice with Asians, which is that they're smart and overwork and that kind of thing. But it's not the same as like black skin. Black skin always, the prejudice is different. Like it's a different prejudice. I think this is the correct size here. I think we finally hit the right size, guys. It took forever, but I think we hit the right size. So we're going to do this, and I'm going to line this up just like so. And I think that's the correct size. Ethnicity is fascinating to me. I mean, obviously, my ethnicity is. I mean, I guess you could say I have an ethnicity, but it's not one that usually has a prejudice. against it. It's a prejudice away from it, going the other direction. And so I feel like, to me, I'm interested in ethnicity, and I wish we would stop being biased against people for ethnicity, or for people even. Leave it alone. Yeah. That makes some sense. Well, and I think even now, America is shifting a little bit too because of China, which is causing an influence change as well. Okay. We're going to try this with changing the project settings and see if this works. So we're going to set the page to 134 by 220, and then set the trim for 120 by 210. That didn't work. It's because you're changing this. Don't do that. 134 by 220. The inner border then ends up being 105 158. Why does that look different? Yeah. I spent a lot of time in Japan. Will you reset the entire folio? Because that'd be really useful. Oh, good. No, they don't like mainland Asians. The funny thing about the Japanese is that they are sure they can tell the difference between mainland Asians and Japanese Asians, and they really can't. They think they can, but they can't. I had a buddy who was Canadian Chinese, and yeah, they don't see themselves as Asians. I have a friend who's Canadian Chinese. And he never, while we were there, he just really couldn't understand Japanese. He couldn't learn, he had a problem learning Japanese. He spoke Chinese because that was what his family spoke. But he never really spoke okay. So which ones did you not set properly? The ones that I think I manually set differently? But that looked like that at least solved a good portion of these. Yeah, they're exclusionists. Like they exclude. So you're not part of them. I was never part of them while I was there. Some I were. I mean, I say that, but the truth is that, some people took me in like family while I was there. And many people were very, very sweet to me. It's not all, but government definitely is different there. Government is exclusionist. Especially the LDP. The LDP is kind of scary. and their exclusionism. They're very exclusionist. Mm-hmm. Agreed. Very nationalist. But again, it depends on whether you meet the people who are scared of other people or the people who like other people. Because there's like two kinds of people in the world. There are the people who like other people, and then there are people who are scared of other people. And I think everywhere you run into the same thing. I like other people. I'm interested in other cultures. I think other cultures are fun. I think it's interesting. And Brent hates everybody. But I mean, like, that's a big thing. For me, your family. I don't care. It doesn't matter where you're from. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what your name is. I don't care anything. If you're an artist like me and we're doing art, we're family. It's fine. I don't care. But there are people who are afraid, you know? I know. That one's always the one that gets me, is when people are like, I don't like those people over there and they look the same, or they're the same religion, or they're the same. That's so weird to me, you know? It's so strange. And it's like, what? Why? Why are you? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense. But, you know, everybody's family. And, right? You eat the same food, you live in the same place. I don't get it. I don't understand how people do what they do. Okay, are you off? You must be off too. Because you don't look the same. These two don't look the same. And I'm not sure why. These two, this one doesn't look the same either. Like, it should be set correctly, but it isn't. I don't know what's going on. Right? 134, 220. 120, 210. 105, 158. Yes? Ish. I want to go to China too someday. I think that'd be fun. China would be great. But, as we just talked about, I'm kind of the wrong ethnicity now for them. They're not really hot on me. 120, 210, 105, 158. Okay, so you are correct. Now you. What is going on with all of these things? I don't want to be doing this, Brent. 134, 220. Here goes the wind. 120, 210, 105, 158. These pages should all be uniform, and they are not. These two are not uniform either. Okay. Yeah, Cold War all over again. I'm so over the Cold War. I'm a child of the 80s. And so, like, I lived through the Cold War as a kid with, the Soviet Union is going to bomb us every day. And it was like, ugh. And it was fear. It was all fear. And then at some point in time, I met a really lovely Russian lady. I worked with her at a telecom, and it was fascinating because she also was from Kazakhstan, and she had fled the Soviet Union during the Soviet Union regime. And she and I got to talk about this, and she was like, yeah, my childhood was the same. Except the Americans are always going to bomb us. It's like, when did we grow up like this? What good did it do? How did it help anybody? All it did was just make us all freaked out. All the time. We were all freaked out. Every day. And that's all we did. Okay. Right? Soviet Union wasn't even that rich. I'm still not sure how Russia has managed to make 5th generation fighters. I'm still trying to figure that one out. Jet fighters. Like the Su-27 is still a very good aircraft. And I don't even understand how that happened. Like, right, Su-27s and the MiG-31's not bad either. And I still don't know how we ended up like 5th generation fighters just don't make sense to me. I don't understand how they ended up with 5th generation fighters. Okay. These 2 pages are probably... Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you something. My dad was involved in that. I mean, because he was in the army and they just told him to do stuff and he did it. And that wasn't... He wasn't proud of that. He didn't think that was a good thing to do either, but he did what they told him to do. And it was the same thing. What did that do? What did that do? I mean, all that did was just make your childhood, your parents' childhood, it was just all scary. Why? Why did we do that to each other? There's no reason for us to do that to each other. 105. It's all politics. No offset. Yeah. There. Now you match. You still don't match, but you match. That's at least a plus. Gosh, I hope this works. Yeah. Well, socialism can operate fine, provided that you have good intentions in your government. The problem is the power corrupts, right? Oh, excuse me. So once people get power, then they start getting corrupt and things start to change. And the way they handle people changes. Everything else looks good, looks good, looks good, looks good, except for page 19, which is screwed up. But at least it's screwed up in the same way as these 2 pages are. Okay. All of that's good, all of that's good. Everything else is good through here. One of the things that's... No, it wasn't. You know, the only thing that was authoritarianism was the government. But that's the same here. I mean, it's no different in America. It's just we do it differently. And that's not to say, by the way, that I don't love America and I don't love being American, because I actually do. Yeah, Stalin wasn't really that good. I mean, like, we can all kind of agree that Stalin wasn't good. We got some real wind now. Yeah, you're not right either. 134 220 120 210 105 158. No offset. Fix it. That's where that weird came in. See how it's got these little divots now? That's where that weird stuff came in. Yeah. He did. It wasn't just Stalin, though. I mean, it was Stalin and, and Roosevelt and Churchill. Mostly Russia. I don't know, man. That's one where the history books get kind of confusing. Like, everybody thinks that they won the war. So it's kind of interesting. I actually saw something recently where Canada was talking about how much they did at D-Day. And they did. It wasn't like Canada wasn't doing their part at Operation Overlord, but it definitely was interestingly played up. You guys did. World War II was, World War II was a real turning point for the world in how we do military tactics and how we operate in a military way. World War II taught very important lessons. I was listening the other day to a podcast that was talking about in Japan, they were building one plane every 4 or 5 days, and the Mitsubishi location where they were building Zeros was 27 miles from a runway. So they had to build the plane and then hook it up to oxen, and then the oxen would take, that would, like animals, like ox, and they'd take them to, and it would have to pull the plane to a runway to get it to take off. So they were putting out one plane every 3 days or something like that. And meanwhile, here in the United States, we were producing 1,500 planes a month from each of our 12 or 13 different factories. So the Japanese just never stood a chance. And that was a lesson learned. We learned that lesson during that particular thing. The other lesson was whether you sent people in over and over and over, or whether you tactically maneuvered. That was an infamous fight between our U.S. Army and our Marines. Like, our Marines push, and they just keep pushing, and they keep pushing. And the Army pushes until it hits a certain resistance point, then backs up, and then artillery shells it, and then pushes again. And this was during World War II, and it caused actually a lot of stress between those two groups, which you'll still see today in our military, because the Marines felt like they were wimping out. They were not doing their bit. It's fascinating. I'm going to move this down. I'm actually feeling like it should be here. You should be here too. We learn a lot. Blowback. No. I was the podcast I'm usually listening to is Dan Carlin's Hardcore History. I like his stuff because he goes really deep into it. But the other thing I really like about Dan Carlin's Hardcore History is that he tends to be equal on all sides. Like, he's very equal on what's happening on both sides of the war. So the stories that I was hearing were Supernova in the East talking about Japan coming to power, doing the things they were doing in China, and then getting pushed all the way back in the Pacific Theater. I'll read it. Or listen. I will listen to it. I guess I can't read those. But yeah, Blowback sounds good. I will write that down. Thank you. But I like listening to these things in a balanced way. Like, it's great to go rah rah my country, yay yay yay, or whatever, but after a while you realize that there are a lot of moving parts in these wars, and usually there are things that you can learn to avoid the fight, to not get into the war in the first place. And one of them is treat your people nicely, which apparently is still a lesson, as we have discussed, that people need to learn. I feel like this is close. Probably close enough that I won't get any kind of distortion when I print it. At least I hope not. Right? I hope not. Let's take a look at the project settings and see if we're still in the same numbers. 134.220, 120.210, 105, 158.00. Okay. Make sure every one of the pages adjusts properly. So it's going through and fixing a couple of these pages here. That's what it's doing. It's checking all the pages. Oh, some user. You showed up just in time for me to save this and send it to the printer. But with River and some user and me, we've hit sort of 3 points of the globe again. Go us. Check it out. This show is now global. I love it when we go global. Sometimes on the days we'll have just people here, and it's like, so yeah, like it's like, whoa, look at us going global. I love global. Yar. Okay, I think no matter what, he should be able to print this. Some user. I'm gonna say I'm gonna mess it up. You know what? Some user, you tell her. Yeah, Sweden. I couldn't get Switzerland out of my head. I couldn't. It was there, and it wouldn't leave. And then I was like, I'm gonna mess it up. Yep. So we've got Central Europe, Asia, Mongolia, and here. Right? Well, I mean, some user from my point of view, Switzerland and Sweden are pretty close together. From your point of view, though, they're pretty far apart. It's kind of like Colorado is pretty close to Florida relative to you guys, both of you. On the other side of the globe, Colorado and Florida are right next to each other from you guys' point of view. But from my point of view, Florida's a long ways away. Oh, name-wise, yeah. George is really freaked out by the wind. George is having a bad, scary day. It's very, very windy. Right? If we could get Ghost Hand in here, he'd be in Brazil. And then Hone is in Thailand. That would put like all points of the globe, and it'd be so cool. So cool. Okay, I think. Oh, nothing good. I was just picking a state that was far away from Colorado that would be like, that would feel close to you guys because you're way over on the other side of the world. So traveling to Florida or traveling to Colorado for you guys would be pretty much the same. It'd be very, very far away. But Florida is also, yeah, Florida man is an all-going joke that we usually do. Okay, one more time. I think we are correct at this point in time. Yes, overwrite it. All pages. Good. For comic. Go. And then roll. Yes, 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 yes. Yes? Yes. Okay, we're exporting. Oh, that was brutal. That was really rough. So, if you guys are wondering, so some user, what happened was I sent my comic off to the printer to be printed, and he wrote back to me and said, everything is slightly off. Are you sure you want to print this? And I went, what? So I went and checked, and all of it was slightly off. Everything was slightly off, and it was just really weird. And I was like, oh no. So we had to print it. We had to go back and fix it. Why are American houses built with weaker materials? Probably cheaper. That would totally be my guess, is that it's cheaper. I don't know, though. I mean, we've got the wind out there is probably pushing 40 kilometers an hour or 50 kilometers an hour with gusts that are getting up into the 60 or 70 kilometer an hour winds. I would think it's pretty serious out there. It's blowing the trees around. Yeah, it's a good thing he caught it. So now let's check again. And let's see what it looks like. Again, we still have this white border on the outside. Why do we have that white border? And it still looks taller than it is wide. That's not right. It is exporting weird. Yeah, it's exporting weird. So now it's exporting, the settings are exporting wrong. Woo, doggy. How do I check? How do I check the actual size of these pages? because I feel like it's exporting in a some user, you just got like edited for the word sell. That's very strange. So yeah, River, in a second I will finish answering your question. I'm going to answer some user's question. I do sell them at conventions. That's even more interesting. Brent can say sell, but some user can't. I don't understand. It doesn't even make sense. None of this makes sense. Okay, I need to see tools. What do I need? I need to see. I need the properties of each one of these pages. Sell. No, sell like as in to buy and sell, to purchase. It's interesting that when some users said the word sell, S-E-L-L, on YouTube, it edited them out. Green processed wood. You can't even say that word here. That's so strange. That's so weird. I don't understand. It doesn't make sense. I don't think I ever understand these things anyway. Okay. We have a problem with it going out to... Do we have a problem here? Maybe we have a problem here. That is weird. We have a problem here. No, we don't. I feel like I am literally spending an insane amount of time measuring stuff, and I really feel annoyed by this, right? So if we look at this, 130 by, I'm just eyeballing it, 175, right? Let's just say 135 by, why are you different? 220, right? By 135. 134, right? That's what it does. That's what it says it's supposed to be. You are 167 by 260. 167 by 260. That's part of our problem there. Okay, I'm gonna go run real quick to the other area and I'll be right back. George keeps running back and forth because the wind has freaked him out. So he runs over to the door, and then he runs back over to my office area, and then he runs back to the door, and then he's all freaked out by the wind. I think I have been 259. It's really 259. I think I have been putting this off. The inevitable is here, which is the 68. The inevitable is that I think I need to just resize this. Absolutely. Some user, you may ask me anything as long as you don't use the word sell, apparently. Who knew? I guess that's an illegal word. Okay. I've been putting off the inevitable, and I really think that what needs to happen is we just need to go in here to the project settings. Okay. And just set the project settings to the end result, which is 168 by 259. And just do the thing and fix it. And I've been not wanting to do this because it means resizing each page. But I also think that I'm doing some math problem here stupid. And so I'm ending up doing these wrong. Right. I guess. Keyframes. Extremes, directional shifts. So, the thing about keyframes, this really should be 168. And the thing about keys is, and this should be 257 with a 5-inch bleed, and that should give us that number, right? And right, ID 10T. Okay, so when you're talking about keyframes, in the instance that you're talking about keys, you're talking more about the storyboard keys, right? Which are the main frames or the start of your story. So you have the beginning of a scene. But then when you get a keyframer in, the keyframer's job is to hit each point where a emotion changes. So if I've got a character who talks like this, I'll have a key here and a key here, right? And then if he does this, I'll have another key here, right? And that's the keyframe system, the way it was back in the day of animation. It's not the same when we're talking about computer work. Not you. So that's a thing. And then what you have is we have what we call in-betweeners or tweeners. And the in-betweeners then put all of the frames from here, 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 here in. And then they know that the keyframes are set to a certain point. Like, for example, if it takes me 1 second to do this, if it takes me 1 second to do this, right, then I know that I need 24 frames in between. So in between here to here is 24 frames because it's 1 second, right? Movies run at 24 frames, video runs at 30. And that's why video feels smoother. It's one of the reasons why video feels a little crisper. So, but it's 24 frames for film, normal film. I need that. Where was the thingy that I just had? I just had the thingy. Where is that thingy? These are technical terms. Open in a new window. I need that thingy. I had that thingy. Where was it? Did it hide? Here. This thingy. That's what I need, is this thingy. So, when you're talking about just standard traditional animation, you had your storyboard, which would sort of show each large motion of action. And then you'd have the keys. And the keyframes then would be the beginning and the end of each motion. And not the end, of course, because it just needs to be the beginning of each motion, because you don't really need the end of each motion, because the next key should lead you to that point, right? So key 1, key 2, key 3, right, would put 2 different motions in. And I don't need to worry about all the things in between. Then the tweeners would go in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, right? And then don't need to worry about 7, because 7 was a keyframe and 12 was a key. And so they'd end up with doing all of the ones except for 1, 7, and 12 on the frames. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense? Am I just talking weird? I might be talking weird. 168. Let's do 258. It really is 258. And then 153 and 206. Nothing, 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 nothing. All of this, go and reset the changes. Go back and do the whole thing. Is that messing with your words? Is that messing with what you're learning? I feel like you're not doing your work. I mean, I'm just saying. I feel like you're not doing your work. Like, I told you to change aspects and you're not. You see, you didn't change this. This didn't change. So we went through changing everything for you to not change everything. Ugh. Yeah. Okay, hang on. We can work this one. We can work this. So let's just do an illustration real quick. Okay. Where's my pen? In this animation, we'll do the classic ball, right? So we'll do a ball. And what we want the ball to do is we're going to want it to come down, bounce, come back up, bounce, and then come over, right? So that's what we're going to have. We're going to have 2 bounces like that, right? So for the keys, the key will be right here, and then one right here. So there'll be 4 keyframes to this because of the fact of the nature of the way things are. Now, you'll check the speed of a ball bouncing, and you'll know where your tweens are because, for example, as a ball falls, it speeds up, right? So you'll have to check your speed here because 1 and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 5 and then 6, because it's going to speed up, right? And then once it hits down here, we are going to have 7 and 8 and then 9. So it's going to be 7, 8, and then 9 like that. So you have to plot this out. Because once it gets to this bottom here, this key is only going to tell you one bit of information, and that's actually going to be pretty much at, wherever 8. I guess 8 is where its key is. So this will be that frame where the key is, right? And then 9 starts out this next section. And a ball then goes bounce and then slows down. So it's going to go the other direction, right? So it's going to be 9 and then 10 and then 11. And then it's going to start slowing down. 12, 13, 14, and then 15. And this is going to be 15. So that's at frame 15. Not really, but you get the idea, right? And again, we're going to end up with the same thing. It's going to hit there. So 15, 16, and 17 are all going to be right here. But we're going to have squish. So really what will happen is 15 is where it hits. But 16 is where it's the most extreme because it's going to be squished down. So the key won't be 15. The key will be 16 because that's where it's squished the most. And then the same thing as it heads back out going this way, right? So if we were to do this guy like we were supposed to, right? Let's say we'll do that and we'll put this in here. We'll end up with 1 and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then here we do the 8 and then 9 and then 10 because he squishes down, right? And then reverse it, and then 11 and then 12 and then 13, then 14, then 15, then 16, then 17. Same thing, 18, I'm just making this up now, 19, 20, squish it down, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And that would be the way we would set up the thing. But the keys would be this. The keys, dang it, you're not helping me, man. The keys are here, the most extreme point here, the most extreme point here, and then where the animation ends. And if you think about it from the point of view of your artists, you'll need to say a couple of things to translate that to your tweeners. And it's because you'll have only one keyframer, but you'll have like 12 or 13 in-betweeners, right? And what they'll do, back in the old days, we would use what was called onion skin paper, which was really thin paper that you could see through. And we'd hold one piece of paper per our fingers. Let's see if I can do this. I don't even know if I can do this anymore. But animation paper is registered. So it's got these, it's kind of hard to see. There we go. You can see it there. It's registered with these holes where you get these 2 dashes like this and then 1 punch. And so you'd put it on the holder, which would hold it, and then you could flip through it. And we would flip through it by putting 1 page on each finger, like so, and we'd flip back and forth like this. Hello, Optic Sphinx. So we'd flip back and forth, which would allow us to draw and check to make sure our animation is solid. I'm amazed I still have animation paper. Who knew? Does that help any? Because a lot of this is terminology that may have changed over the years. I mean, maybe things have changed since the 90s. It's been a year or two since I've done hand animation. That's why we use registered paper, because that holds it in place and it won't go anywhere. So but yeah, and you flip obviously with your offhand. So I flipped with my left hand because I'm right-handed, right? So we get kind of this thing where we end up with each cell being this way. And then we talk a little bit about, like, it's not just the keyframers. Each artist has to do something. For example, on this one, I might draw the ball up here round, but then when it starts to frame down like this, I'm going to start stretching it, and this is called stretching and squishing, right? Like this. And then when I hit the ground, it's going to be like a bean. And then as it comes up, it's like that. And then it acts like this going up here. And then that way, as you watch the animation, the ball stretches. And then when it hits, it squishes and then comes back out. So that's called stretch and squish. And we use that a lot in, like, especially things like Tom and Jerry or Bugs Bunny or something like that. There's a lot of stretch and squish, where we push and pull the bodies more than we usually do. It's hard for me because I can't apply stretch and squish really to manga style, because manga style is pretty straight and rigid. And so it's hard to put stretch and squish in manga style. It's not impossible, though. So I hope that answered your question. What kind of batch processes can I do? Because it's not changing all of these. Yeah, I mean, we do stretching and squishing to give more of an illustration of what's going on. If you look at individual frames of, say, Tom and Jerry, a good example of stretch and squish is what they say is you stretch and squish certain areas. Like Tom and Jerry, Tom's legs can stretch and squish some, but you have to remember where the bones kind of are, even if they are comedic bones. But like his legs will do things like this. You can't do this. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's out on YouTube, where apparently you cannot say the word sell, S-E-L-L. We just learned that today. If you write sell, it ends up with like star. Which cracks me up. So it would stretch, right? So it's not from a physics point of view. It would be motion. So motion stretches when it's in motion. So it'll stretch to its motion until it hits something, at which time it squishes, and then we'll stretch again. And that's the comic physics, because we always have comic physics. Okay, I'm going to look up It's not. It says go to the project settings and change the entire project settings, and it's not. It's not doing it. Why is it not doing it? Yes, even if it's wrong. Well, part of the thing is that in a way, you're not just mimicking the physics of a thing, but you're also mimicking sort of the trails that our eyes see. When I do this back and forth, like if I were to take a pen and do this, to the effect of your eye, it looks like the pen is bending, but it's really not. It's not bending at all. But because of like just the way our eyes see things, it starts to look like the pen bends this way and then bends this way whenever you do that. So when you do the animation, you're going to have to draw the pen being bent, even though that's not really what's happening, right? So when you draw the ball, you're sort of drawing the ball, exaggerating its trail across your eye as you see the ball fall. In real life, a ball doesn't distort very much at all until it hits. Once it hits, it distorts. But in the falling motion, it doesn't. But we'd use stretch and squish to illustrate that, to make it feel like it's really falling. And it looks great when you do that. I mean, like, it really looks like it's got motion. It looks like it's got actual, like it's really moving. 182.268. Okay, all my settings are set right. I feel like none of this is working like it's supposed to. Right? Like all of the folio is correct, but they're not coming out at this size. This is the size it should be, and it's not. You're welcome. Anytime. You're helping this be less odious, because this is pretty horrible. I don't want to have to resize each page manually, but apparently I'm going to have to, because they're all coming up in different numbers. 182. Right. I feel like this is obnoxious. It shouldn't be this hard. Will that bulk resize the entire comic, or will that bulk resize the pictures? Part of the problem is the comic has to be resized, which I didn't really want to do, but I'm going to have to, I think. It's not the right size. Something's very wrong with its settings. So, and it has to do with the fact that this comic was written before I had decided what my sizes were, and before I knew what it would look like being printed out. Yeah, I thought about that too, but it's coming out at the wrong aspect ratio. That's the problem. It's coming out at the wrong aspect ratio. So it's taller than it is wide. And that's not good, right? I mean, we've got to get it so that this is correct. And now I'm just going to have to go through and resize all the pages till they all fit. and that's fine. I'll just do that. And what I'll probably do is I feel like I want to go get lunch. It's 1 o'clock. I want to go get lunch. So I'm going to go get lunch, and I'll do all of this over the weekend and then hopefully send it back to him this afternoon. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, it's aggravating. I didn't want to do this in the first place, and I was trying to avoid doing this. And in doing all of my math, it looks like all I have managed to do is just make a mess of the entire comic in the first place. So I really should have just done the hard job first, and then I wouldn't have been here doing the hard job and not actually getting things done. So, it's a thing. Thank you guys for all being here. It was good to see you guys. Good to have you here, Some User. It was good to have you here, River. I appreciate it. I hope I see you guys again. It was always good to have you, Brent. Thank you very much. And I mean, like earlier today, we had we had Can, but then, the blankets got to him. And Hone was here for like 2 seconds, but then left. And then, we had couple of people coming in from elsewhere. Boy, the wind has just really picked up. You are really freaked out. George is really freaked out. Anyway, I appreciate all you guys for being here today, and I'll see you all Sunday night unless we get blown away, at which time that's the way it goes. Super windy outside. And as always, my friends, keep your eyes on the stars. Goodbye.